Previously on No Reserves Radio.
Oh my God, Angelo! Come on, have some self-respect. The Eagles can't hurt you if you don't constantly pander to them.
Here's the biggest indictment of Dame that I can say. Dame has been so off this year that Rehn went on live air and said Jalen Brunson deserved an all-star start over him.
You are now Angelo Didululo.
Do you think it is possible that the management of the Memphis Grizzlies are just buying into the reckless youth movement and they got rid of the one person in the locker room that probably was telling Ja to knock it off?
Because he's taken advantage of me multiple times when I was younger. That sounded bad. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're correct in that assessment.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to No Reserves Radio. I'm your host, Rehn. With me, as always, Angelo and Austin. Before we get into it, if you just tune into our episodes that drop Sunday and Thursday, the No Reserves Basketball, No Reserves Football, we did release an episode this previous Tuesday where we're kind of experimenting with a new type of episode. It's No Reserves Pop Culture. This specific one was about the Game of Thrones. So if you're a fan of that and you want to hear our thoughts on some things regarding it, go check it out. Those episodes will... Yeah, it really did kind of blow up really quick. But if you're into that kind of thing, we are going to do more No Reserves Pop Culture. It's just going to be kind of sporadic, so make sure that you are following the channel on all platforms and you will get notified of when that happens.
And a topic I
oh my
contribute
God.
to.
And hopefully not a back-to-back recording session, because Adam was the only one with energy in that. Because, peek behind the curtain, we recorded last week's basketball episode with the top 10 centers.
I started with good energy.
Yeah, no, it started fine, but by the end of it, we were dragging. It was...
100%. 100%.
It was real tough. We'll never do that again. Never do that again. We will record it on a separate day.
Also, we will not have a basketball. This is what we're doing right now. Football episode this week because I couldn't get in the studio with Alex with my schedule the way it was.
That works. So wait, that's today?
Yeah, that's today.
Everyone already know that.
They know. But funny enough, we will have multiple episodes dropping next week. We'll have a football episode. Apparently, Alex wants to do a wrestling episode Monday, and obviously, we'll have another basketball episode.
And who knows what else? You never know. Subscribe to all of our channels. So we're continuing our top 10 lists. That's what we'll be doing for the next 4 weeks, including this week. Last week we did centers. This week we're going to do power forwards. We're going to go 5-4-3-2-1. It'll be easier that way. And honestly, point guard, at least my preemptive list, is chaotic. So there's a lot more content there. Before we get into that, though, a little bit of news, nothing super major, which is weird to say considering who it involves. So Russell Westbrook traded from the Clippers to the Utah Jazz in a sign and trade for guard Chris Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to agree to a buyout with the Jazz, which is allowing him to sign with the Denver Nuggets after clearing waivers. This is why these guys get paid all this money. It doesn't make sense to me why the Jazz are... I guess they're getting out of... I don't know. It's a weird...
Paying Chris Dunn? They got assets, quite honestly. They got a pick swap with it, so maybe they're just...
Yeah, but it's a second-round pick swap.
Yeah. But every little bit... quite honestly, who's running basketball operations for Utah right now? You know who it is. It's Danny Ainge.
Not right.
So every draft pick counts. Every draft pick counts for Danny Ainge. So yes, that's why they did it.
We need to stage an intervention and get him into draft picks anonymous, because he's got a problem.
Hasn't it worked for him though?
He's
what? It's worked.
For him, though?
I mean, yeah, I guess, but like,
Can I be honest for a second? It shouldn't have worked. The only reason that it worked the first time is because the Brooklyn Nets thought that Paul Pierce and KG still had something left in the tank.
well, no,
And they
that's
were
not why it worked. It worked because you traded for future assets with old
that turned
assets.
into Brown and Tatum. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that those old assets are going to regress, and that team's going to probably be at best decent, but they're not going to be good.
No. Time out. Stop it. Back during that time, they
Mhm.
thought they were making a finals run.
No,
Get
no.
out
I'm
of
not
here.
talking because hold on, you're missing what I'm saying.
Okay.
Knocker.
Kevin.
What's that?
Oh, I'm googling.
You want to miss another episode, Austin?
I've been pretty consistent so far, bitch.
What, with missing episodes? Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the summer of 2023, the Celtics and Nets made more impactful trades. KG and Paul Pierce were sent to Brooklyn in exchange for what? Blah blah blah. Don't care. What were the actual picks? Regardless.
The actual picks were Tatum and Brown.
Right, but what? You're shh. I'm asking rhetorical questions in my head. So in 2017. So this trade happened in 2013. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking a risk because the Nets are assuming they're hoping they're making a finals run that year, right? You're mortgaging the future for that finals run, and yeah, it didn't work out, but sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit, right? The actual value of the Tatum and Brown picks at the time, like what Boston is doing, is assuming KG, Paul Pierce are going to the Nets. They're going to win some games. Who knows? They might make that finals run. Who cares? KG and Paul Pierce are old. They're not going to be good in 2017. That's what I'm saying. Like, it has no bearing on, they thought they were going to make a finals run. Whether or not they make a finals run in 2013, 2014 has no impact on the 2017 draft pick. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right, but that's why it was a bad deal. Because you don't trade for assets that are that old with future assets.
Sometimes you gotta.
No, it always ends up bad.
It doesn't
This
always
is what
end up bad.
it pretty much always ends up bad. But this is why when Brooklyn made the trade for Kevin Durant, they did it for the picks that they thought KD would be under control for. So they thought they were going to be good. Now that turned out to not be the case because, well, you know what? No, you know what? We'll talk about KD and where he is on my list and why I put him there.
Oh Jesus.
I'm
later.
I am actually
comes later.
interested.
That comes later. Comrade.
There's a lot of also interesting rumors going on regarding the Utah Jazz with Lauri Markkanen. Apparently, the Warriors are really big on Lauri, but the piece that's supposedly holding it up is actually Podziemski, however the fuck you say his name. That's who they want. The Jazz don't want Kuminga, according to Shams, which... All right. But the Warriors are hesitant to move Podziemski. That sounds like that's right. Because they foresee him as the backup to Curry and the eventual replacement for Curry. So who knows? It's been a quiet offseason, and Adam Silver's like bragging, like, we did it, we fixed everything. And like, yeah, like I feel like the league's probably more parody driven than it's been in a long time, but it's also kind of boring because like no one moved. But like,
weird how that works, Ren.
But so like that's where
You
it's a
make
catch-22.
rules
No. That's where it's a catch-22 because we're trading more boring, like executive shit like trades and free agency, and more exciting games because there's more parity. So it's like, which one's more important? Probably the parity and like having competitive games, because if you like, if the NBA had baseball rules and you could just pay money and just sign all the stars, we would not need to have a season, because you would just tell who could win. So you're telling me if prime LeBron, Curry, Giannis, and
if Team USA was an NBA team, who's winning?
Quite honestly. So here's the thing. Like, I'm tired of this doomer shit. Like, it doesn't happen like that in baseball, and it wouldn't happen like that in the NBA.
No.
Because you'd have multiple huge market teams vying for the same fucking players. So you wouldn't have Team USA all on one team, even if an owner was willing to front that bill, because there'd be multiple teams trying to get those players as well.
The reason it doesn't work as well in baseball is because baseball is a more, I don't want to say individually driven sport, but a more one-to-one driven sport. Like, you only have one pitcher, you only have one hitter, and realistically, you have one or two people involved in every defensive play, right? Like, there are exceptions. I'm not saying that's every time. I'm just saying on average, you have like, oh, you hit a liner into the outfield and you threw it to second base. Like, in the NBA and basketball in general, you have 5 people that have to play both offense and defense. If you have Team USA, and you can say whatever you want, like, yes, any team would be doing that, but we've seen it before. These players will take pay cuts and they do ring chase. If they don't have to take those pay cuts, they're all going to the same team. And that just wouldn't make for good competition. Like, it's
Jalen Brunson wouldn't have taken that contract if he.
Well, to be fair to that one, Jalen Brunson took the maximum amount of money that the New York Knicks could offer him right now. If he waited until the offseason or next offseason to extend, he would have gotten like the Tyrese Maxey contract.
He left $100 million on the table, dude.
But what he's doing, like, we can say he's taking a pay cut, but really what he's doing...
It is...
Angelo, would you let me finish talking? It is a pay cut. But what he's doing is saying, I don't know how the next year is going to go. I could get injured and never make a contract like this again. So what he's doing is he's taking a generational wealth contract now, and then in 4 years, when that contract's up, he's going to extend for a longer contract. He's just not taking the chance that he's going to get injured. Now, is part of it probably so the Knicks can field a more competitive roster? Yeah, but this was also the most money the Knicks could offer him right now. He would have had to play through the season, not get hurt, and still be eligible for the Supermax. And he's saying, you know what, I'll get...
So why didn't he need to sign a deal that included an opt-out after the first year? Or is it in there? Is it in there, Ron? Is an opt-out after the first year in there?
Is it?
I'm asking you.
I don't recall
because quite honestly, if it's not, then explain to me how this is taking the most money at the time. He could have signed if it does, and I'm silly, then that's fine. But if this deal does not include an opt-out after the first year, what fucking reason did he have
to
sign that deal?
Unless I'm mistaken, you cannot have options on multi-year contracts like that. You
can't?
How would I
thought the option always had to be towards the end.
Yeah, it has to be at the end of the contract. You can't just be like, 4-year contract. Right, this isn't baseball.
That's so fucking weird. So then why didn't he sign a 1+1 then?
Because he's betting, like, what he's doing is he's saying, I'm taking the generational wealth so that if I get injured, I'm still set for life. He's making a financially savvy decision because no matter what...
By leaving $100 million on the table?
Angelo, if he blows out his Achilles and his ACL in game 1 of next season, he's never getting another contract. Well, I mean, he would, but it would never be like that, right? But he's already set for life with the contract he just signed. He's saying, I'm going to take a pay cut now because I don't know how the next year is going to go. And then when I'm out of this contract, I'm going to get another contract. So I'm only going to do 3-4 years, whatever it is. Is it a pay cut? Yes. He's leaving $100 million on the table. That's what you keep saying over and over again. He's still getting over $100 million. His family never has to work in their lives now. So what he's doing is saying, I'm taking that right now because I could get injured next year. And he was already on a cheap contract. And, you know, my family's got a lot of money, but is it generational? No. Now it is. He's making the smart decision. Is it also a smart decision because it helps the New York Knicks field a competitive roster? Absolutely. It's a two-sided coin. It works perfectly. But he's not just doing it for that. He's doing it because we've seen many times in the NBA, you can be an MVP one year and the next season, at the end of a game when you should be on the bench, your coach refuses to bench you because you're the point guard on a Tom Thibodeau team, and what the hell happens? You're never the same player. Who's the coach over in New York, Angelo?
Funny.
I'm just saying, like, it makes sense. Like, Jalen Brunson is going to be asked to shoulder a lot of workload for the New York Knicks. A lot of workload when you're a smaller player, especially, you're going to get bruised. You could get bruised to a point that you don't get this kind of contract again, let alone the contract you'd be eligible for in a year. So, like, let's be pragmatic, okay? I'm offering you right now $100 million, okay? In a year, if you wait a year, I'll offer you $200 million. Which one are you taking?
$200 million.
Okay, but now I'm rescinding that first contract because you didn't perform well, and now you're getting neither of those. You gambled and you lost. Jalen Brunson's not gambling.
Which means he's not winning.
I mean, the Knicks are going to be able to field a more competitive roster, so he's probably going to win more games this way anyway.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
And, like, let's be real. What matters more to you, Angelo, if Jalen Brunson makes $200 million or if Jalen Brunson wins a ring? Which one are you going to care about? Because
100% if Jalen Brunson wins a ring, but at the same time, I can understand what's best for Jalen Brunson and what's best for the New York Knicks don't necessarily have to be the same thing.
What's best for Jalen Brunson
is to get the most money possible. And
right.
The most money possible is next year, not this year.
No, the best option for Jalen Brunson is mitigating risk. I don't know. Pacer fan. I despise the Knicks.
Yeah.
I wish them nothing but the worst. This was a great contract for the Knicks, and it's a savvy decision by Jalen Brunson because, again, how many times have we seen in professional sports where a player bets on themselves and loses? Victor Oladipo was offered a supermax by the Pacers. Instead, he went to Miami. What happened? Never saw a dime of that money because he got hurt. Should he have waited? No. You take the money that you're offered now because you don't know what game one of next season is going to be. You don't know. You could be in a scrimmage for Latvia. You take the money that's available now because you don't know what's going to happen at game one of next season. You don't know if you're going to be scrimmaging against Team Latvia in a exhibition game for your national team and you're going to trip and your bone's going to pop out of your knee. You're going to have a compound fracture. You don't know what's going to happen. So when you're offered money that most people on this planet, like 99% of, are never going to see, you don't balk at that and say, I'm going to wait and see if I'm healthy next year so I can get a little bit more. No, you take the money that... Austin, who do you agree with here?
That Victor Oladipo not taking... how much did the Pacers...
It's just going to be a game of what ifs.
If Jalen becomes an MVP next year, Angelo's right. He fucked up.
He's an MVP. Well, he's an MVP candidate this year.
But you know, like if he keeps up the caliber of talent that he was this year, then Angelo's right, Ren's wrong. If something does
bet on
happen,
yourself.
then Ren's right.
Right, but you bet on yourself regardless.
So, coming off of an injury, that was a weird noise. Coming off of injury, the Pacers offered Oladipo 4-year, $112 million, which at the time was a lot of money.
Right.
So what did he end up with when he bet on himself and went to the free market?
A 1-year, $24 million contract. I'm looking at it right now, Ren. Yes.
No,
he made $21 million. Well, $25 million with the Pacers last year. Then with the Miami Heat the first year, he made $24 million. Then after that, yes, I'm looking at it.
No, you're an idiot. You're looking at his rookie contract.
No, I'm not.
You are. His 2017 to 2020 extension. He signed with the Heat.
His rookie contract.
It's this rookie extension that was signed by the OKC Thunder. At the end of this contract, he was eligible for an extension. The Pacers offered him $112 million. He signed a 1-year, $2 million contract with the Miami Heat.
Okay, 2021. Okay, we were off here. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Never performed up to that level because, again, he was betting on himself that he was going to get back to that same player, and instead he signed a contract that was worth $9 million per year. Again, a lot of money, not $112 million because he bet on himself and thought, I know how the future is going to go. I'm just saying, if you're playing, if you're right, but them's the shakes. Like, that's a stupid way to live when you're talking about generational wealth, because no matter what, Jalen Brunson, if he stays healthy, which again, you're assuming he's going to, right? Like, that's why you're saying like he should wait a year.
He's going to make $100 million less than he could have.
He's still going to make. He's still going to make a literal boatload of cash in his career. This assures him that he already has the boatload of cash. Angelo, what is the actual dollar amount of Jalen Brunson's contract? $113 million, right?
Yes.
No, that's the sacrifice.
No, yeah, that's the sacrifice.
156.
4 years, $156 million.
Okay, so barring medical expenses, in your lifetime, can you imagine spending $156 million just straight up?
No.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But you know what I also can't imagine spending?
$100 million?
No, $40 million, which is how much he would have made if he just signed a 1-year deal.
Right, and then he gets hurt, and then he never gets that contract again. And instead of leaving $100 million on the table, he leaves.
Why are you so doomer? Why do you think all these players are going to get hurt?
It's not that. It's you're playing. You're gambling. That is what you're doing.
Yes, you're betting on yourself, and the result is what the result is. But you have to have the confidence in yourself to make the bet.
Right. So if he waits a year. Right, so you're upset that he's leaving $100 million on the table, right?
Yes, 100%.
So he waits a year. He takes that $40 million contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets injured. He never plays again. Like, this isn't me being doomer. This is like, you have to consider these things. So instead of leaving $100 million on the table, now he's leaving $250 million on the table. That sounds a little bit worse to me personally. Like $150 million more on the table in that scenario. So I'm just going to take the $150 million and, I'll make my next big contract when the next TV deal kicks in anyway. And $150 million is going to be a rookie scale contract.
So wait a minute. So he can get hurt and never play again, and that's leaving $200 million on the table. But if he takes the lower contract, he gets to sign his next contract after that? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
Guaranteed?
he can sign.
Guaranteed,
No,
huh?
there is no guarantee.
That's because here's the thing that's annoying me. You're like, he could just get injured next year and never play again. Then he could sign another he could just sign another extension after his 4-year deal. Like, what do you mean?
Because he could sign this $156 million contract and then get injured, and he still has the $156 million, Angelo. Whether he signs the next contract or not is irrelevant. He has 156 mil in the bank.
Why have you mentioned it 3 times?
Because you're kind of missing the forest for the trees here. Because you're saying, well, you're guaranteeing he's getting the next contract. No, I'm not. I'm saying he's got 156 million regardless. But he can sign the next contract. Like, his next contract, he could get hurt and his next contract's only going to be 9 million. But he still got 156 because he didn't gamble. He said, I'm going to take a lower pay cut, or I'm going to take less money. I'm going to be on a more competitive team, and I'm still going to make a bunch of money.
I've lost all investment in this argument.
That's fair.
That is science time to move on. That is the science.
We spent way too much time on Jalen.
Red
The
not
no
believing
news.
it.
The
Yes.
no news day.
The no news day. That was the last tab I have open besides the shit relevant to what we're talking about today, which we are going to be ranking our personal top 10 power forwards of the 2023-2024 season. If you have not listened to an episode before, so there's a couple stipulations. One, we are going strictly off of what Basketball Reference has them listed at positionally, unless we agree that a player doesn't make sense there. Like, there's one on here that Austin and I are like, that doesn't really make sense, but Angelo misunderstood the rules and said whatever Basketball Reference says, and he just ignores the rest of it where he said unless we all agree.
Them the rules.
Regardless.
The rules. Ren made the rules.
And Angelo ignored them because the rule was unless we all agree, that doesn't make sense. And you just kept reiterating, you made the rules, ignoring the rules. I'm sensing a theme. Anyway, so this is going to work 2 ways. So 1, it's based on Basketball Reference's listing of their position. 2, they had to hit a minimum game requirement to be on our list. So, like, if you, who am I thinking of? Who's a player? Julius Randle. So Julius Randle probably would be on Angelo and I's top 10 power forwards if he played a whole season. He did not play enough games. Okay, he'd be probably on mine because, like, he's probably going to go.
No.
25.
Austin's noise.
Oh, that was Austin's noise? I thought that was
Yeah,
Angelo.
that was Austin. Yeah.
But he didn't play enough games, so he's not here. So if you have an issue with our lists missing anyone,
go check
because
games.
Check their games played and also check Basketball Reference, because, like, it could have them listed as a point guard, and, like, Austin and I could have been like, Angelo, this 7-foot player that never touches the ball is not a point guard, and he's like, them's the rules. Just so you know. You know what, actually, if any of us miss a player, just go ahead and blame Angelo. Let's get into it. How did we do it last week? Was it Austin, me, Angelo?
No, it was you, me, Angelo.
Oh, shit. I thought it was... I did not remember starting, but that's fine. Just give me...
I can always start if you need me to. Or we can just do it first.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. All right, awesome! I get to ruin Returns Day first. Let's go! So...
Honestly, this works better.
Yeah, this works so much better. So, my number 10 is actually Lauri Markkanen.
Interesting.
So, the first thing is that he literally just made the game requirements at 55 games.
So that's why he did not make my list. Just, he's an honorable mention for me.
Same.
It was between him and Cat for me, and I gave him the nod because well, him, Cat, and one other player that's above him for me. And the reason I gave him and the other player the nod was because he and the player that I'm about to list at 9 are the number 1 options on their team. Cat is not. Cat is number 2 behind Angelo.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And I can forgive a lower PER because the next person definitely does, and I believe Lori does too, because I think Cat's was maybe Lori's is higher. But either way, I can
Lori's
explain
higher.
away lower PER because you have more pressure on you to take up shots and put up numbers. Lori actually ended up, I always round up and round down, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a 22 PER.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that he is at the bottom is because he did just make the game requirement, but he did perform well for the Jazz when he was out there, and there's a reason he's one of the biggest trade rumored players in the league.
So, before we go to the next one, for me, I did leave him off my list. I think you hit the nail on the head for his skill set. I think Laurie should definitely be higher. One thing that did kind of hold it back for me a little bit and kind of kept him as that tweener, because I think the bottom of our list, like we all have those, like they're tweeners, is the fact that he really didn't make a huge or even a marginal improvement over his most improved player season.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No. It shows that he is that player. Like, that wasn't a flash in the pan. Like, that is Lauri Markkanen, and that's a very good player. But you do, like, with someone as young as him, because he's not an old player by any means, you want to see kind of progressive growth, especially if you're in that one option. And we didn't necessarily see that. That's not to say we won't see it next season. And he did play a limited sample of games, so he didn't really have the time and yada yada yada. You could play games of What If forever, right? We just did it. But no, I don't disagree with you having him at 10. I just wanted to give my reason for why I left him as an honorable mention.
That's fair. Austin,
You're
up, buddy.
So I also had Laurie at honorable mention, and it was really just the games played. If he had more games, he'd be higher than my 10, which is Cat.
That's fair.
I mean,
it was
Cat didn't play that many more games than Laurie. It was only 7 games difference.
He played like 61, right?
62. Yeah. And I mean, the stats were pretty similar. 22, 8, and 3. 19-ish PER, 18.8. I put him at 10 because he, like you said, Angelo, Cat's the second option. Right? He had a solid season, a pretty good season for a second.
Well, considering that he has Ant on his team dropping like 30 every game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like Cat kind of took a step back this year because Ant took a giant leap forward. Right?
Yes, I get that. I guess I'm seeing like more of the reason I picked Laurie and not Cat when I listened to it. Getting it going, sorry.
I mean, it's just, I always factor in availability, and that was the biggest impact for me. But I mean, Cat at 10.
Right. So my number 10 is interesting.
Oh God.
Because this is a player that I felt like, we should have been discussing whether or not we should put them at a different position. But after the one, I just gave up. So I was like, screw it. I'm putting a 6'5" guy on power forwards, who played shooting guard last year, but he listed as power forward here, whatever. So Jalen Williams.
Okay.
So
that's not where I thought you were going with that at all.
The only reason, so
it was debated too for me, but he didn't make it. Anyway, that's right.
So statistically speaking, Jalen Williams averaged 19, 4, and 4.5 on 54-42 shooting. He is a shooting guard. Like, he's a guard, but them's the rules, and I was sick of trying to argue it. Basically 20 PER. For me, the reason why I did end up putting him on my list, because I went back and forth on a few guys at the end of this list, is just one, like I was talking about with Laurie, except we see it with Jalen. This is only his second year in the NBA, and he's already a 20-point per game scorer. Granted, he's on a team with like 5 solid options, So, like, he's not the guy getting guarded constantly. But you don't get votes for Clutch Player of the Year and Most Improved Player for no reason. Like, this is mostly a pick because I want to give the benefit of the doubt that he's going to keep progressing. And within a couple years, when we have him on shooting guard lists where he should be, we'll see him in a top 6 spot, top 5 spot maybe.
Does that mean Ren's going to change the rules?
I'm going to bring in an impartial third party so that Angelo can't have a say. Jalen Williams, number 10.
Wow.
He was on one of my short lists, but he just didn't do enough, I felt like.
So, number 9 for me was Paolo Banchero.
Wait, are we snaking this?
What are you talking
What are you
about?
talking about?
Oh,
I started.
Okay. Yeah, never mind. Go on.
Oh my god.
Oh. No snake, Ren. It's me. I'm the one. Me.
Well,
But
I mean, probably still Snake.
no snakes. No sticky snakes. But 9, Paolo Banchero. He averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists on a 17 PER. Once again, the reason I put him in the spot is because he is the number 1 option, the number 1 player on his team. And the Orlando Magic improved drastically from last year to this year and was one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. And Paolo was the reason, A, he helped defensively, but B, he provided the small sliver of offense that the Magic showed from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure he gets a bunch of freaking pressure, especially when Jonathan Isaac is. Poor guy. But no. Even though I was probably a Paolo hater last year, I got to give him props. He is the number 1 option on the Magic.
I didn't unmute my mic. Paolo did not make my top 10. He was one of those guys. And for me, it was just the efficiency.
That's fair.
Again, it's second year in the NBA. Didn't make a huge jump off of the player he was last year. Shooting efficiency got a little bit better, but overall, his winning efficiency didn't move the needle for me at all. Hell of a player, but just barely missed the list. He's probably my number 11. Laurie would then probably be 13. I'll save 12 for when one of you puts him on like number 3.
I think I already know who 12 is.
I do too.
My number 9.
Some himmening hate. Go on.
Speaking of Himmy.
Oh, no.
Himmy is my number 9.
No!
Go on.
Is that your number 12, Ren?
That's my number 9. Go on.
Oh, okay. Butler I had at 9. I mean, the dude played 60 games, right?
Yeah.
He made the cutoff. I was actually surprised. I thought Butler was out for a lot more than what he was. But did he go out towards the end?
No. That's just the average Jimmy Butler game experience. You don't notice him at all.
Oh my god, Ren.
That's fair.
The hate, man. The hate.
You know, we probably wouldn't hate him as much if you didn't like him so much.
Exactly.
But I mean,
hold on.
What?
I'm gonna glance through some Jimmy game logs.
Okay.
Oh my god.
8 points, 2 assists. Damn.
So I debated not having him on my list. I even had Laurie over him at some point.
What?
I did too.
I started looking at his advanced metrics because I'm taking a page out of Ren's book.
Oh my god.
Well,
Angelo's like,
dude.
Angelo's like, you actually kept my player on the list, and now I'm mad at the way you did it.
Yeah, 100%. Based on all of his stats and his win shares and everything, he should be 6, maybe, right? 5, 6.
Yeah,
if he
around
kept
there.
this up for a season. But his availability, everyone in front of him has been playing more games than him. I couldn't justify putting him higher.
So you're spot on. You are absolutely spot on. There's one thing that you missed, though.
Okay, tell me.
Of all the players on your list, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just glance at your list at everyone above Jimmy.
Yep.
How many of them are number one options on their teams? All of them, mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
Right.
Don't you dare say.
How many of them actually, made the playoffs and didn't get eliminated in the play-in?
All except one.
Right. And that player is, I know who you're talking about, and that player is markedly better than Jimmy Butler. So you're the number one option. You're the leader of your team, and I'm gonna take a page out of Angelo's book. You didn't win shit. I don't care.
Oh my.
How did playoff Jimmy do how did Hemi do in the playoffs this year, Angelo? Considering, just for the record, this is the man that debated the number one center. He argued whether it took him 4 hours to decide Jokic was the number one center because of playoff performance. and he's questioning us having Jimmy Butler at number 9 when he had mediocre stats. Justify it, Angelo. You're on the spot now. Forget your next number. Explain it. Why is Jimmy Butler better?
I would laugh
we'll
if he was his 8.
We'll wait for when I have Jimmy. Don't worry.
He's gonna have Jimmy at number 1 just to be a petty asshole.
Yeah, 100%. No, probably 2. He's not that dumb to put him at 1.
He might be. He didn't think Jokic. Like, he debated Jokic for 4 hours, Austin.
Okay, the gap between Jimmy and the number 1 here is a lot bigger than the gap between Jokic and Embiid.
Thank you.
Well, Embiid didn't play any games.
No, but I'm just saying, like, skill-wise.
Right.
It's so massively big that it makes the gap between Joel and Nikola look small.
So, yeah, Jimmy Butler's at 9 for me as well, Angelo. So go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going.
Number 8, it finally happened. Zion played enough games to make a list.
He did. He did. It's really depressing, though.
So he averaged 23.6 assists, or 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 23 PR. I think PR, he's going to have a high PR simply because
he gets every attribute or stat in the game.
Yeah, pretty much. And he takes a lot. Like, his body size is just physically imposing. It's really hard to contest him close to the rim, and that also helps with efficiency overall too. But is it just me, or did I expect more? Like, I guess it's a thing where the idea of Zion was greater than what we actually got with Zion over, like, the sample size of playing enough games to win an award. Does that sound right?
I mean, I get it. But like, he's also so he just turned 24 10 days ago.
I understand that, but at the same time, he has
Zion's only 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He literally just turned 24.
He's played before this last season, but
actually 24 was his 24 was his rookie season. 29 was last year. Fuck you. He was an all-star that year. So, but to be fair, to that point though, this season was the anomaly because of the 4 seasons he's played in the 5 years he's been in the NBA, one of them he averaged 27, one of them he averaged 26. Like, that's
like 23, yeah.
He averaged 23. So like the 26-27, like that's the Zion. That's the idea of Zion.
Right.
Right.
I guess that's fair. And the 23 is what we actually got from him. I guess I just expect more out of a guy whose frame is basically unguardable. His size speed is basically unguardable to most of the NBA.
Right, but this is a man who's
No.
constantly playing his warm-up games. Like, he's never really been able to get up to NBA speed, because when he finally did it, like, I'm going to just go ahead, like, I have him higher on my list, but, like,
That's
you
fair.
have covered all the bases, but the one thing I want to talk about is we got to see a glimpse of Zion in the playoffs, because they were in the play-in game against Lakers, and he did get injured in that game, which is depressing. But in that game, he was 17 of 27 with 40 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in a tied game, and he got hurt. Like, we saw a flash of, like, what Zion's going to be in those bright lights, if he ever gets there.
We got a thought of the idea of Zion Williamson.
But on top of that, Zion was top 25 in box plus minus, value over replacement player, and win share this season. Like, the if you just look at the face statistic values, yeah, his points per game are not up there with the Giannis's and the LeBrons of the league, but in terms of, like, impacting the game, he's everything we thought he was going to be and more. And every time we've seen him actually elevate, it's so far above anyone else on the floor. He's basically unstoppable. It's just he can't stay healthy.
That's fair. Who's your number 8, Austin?
8 is Paulo. And I really didn't think either of you guys were going to have him on this list. I thought I was going to be the special one here. But
yeah, you were trying to say I forgot him when I sent you my short list.
He wasn't on there.
He wasn't, but I told you that was preemptive. I wasn't done.
It's okay. I was hoping you messed up. I like to see you fail.
I don't mess up.
But I mean, his
messes up.
Paulo's PER isn't the best. Angelo kind of hit, like, he wasn't the most efficient shooter, right? But he deserves the credit for taking the Magic to the playoffs and having an actual playoff run for a while.
No?
He deserves some of the credit, but, like, the Magic's defense is what got them there.
He's the only one who can score on that team, dude.
Yeah.
Not the only one.
I mean, Franz got hurt, didn't he?
I believe so. Hold on, let's pull it up.
Ren, they were averaging like 70 points and 80 points.
Oh, no. Franz played 72 games.
Hold on, I need to confirm something. Not postseason, regular season. So Paulo Banchero averaged 22.6, Franz averaged 19.7. Let's not do the Jimmy Butler thing and disrespect everyone else on the team, because we've got to spin an agenda.
I'm not disrespecting everyone else.
Yeah,
he is the one option.
He is the number one option for sure, but, like, the defense is what really got them there. And, like, we can say, oh, they only, like, he's the only option, but they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double figure scoring. Like, Jalen Suggs is nice, Cole Anthony is nice, Wendell Carter's alright, Mo Wagner's alright, but
that feels weird to say, but yeah. I don't know. He deserves credit. It might have been a little bit of a homer pick, but hearing it,
no, I'm
not as bad as I thought it was.
I'm not disrespecting it at all. Like I said, he's on that fringe for me. It's just he was the offense of this team, if you want to call it that, but the defense is really, like, it has to be up there with all-time offense or all-time defense.
And they're young.
They're young.
Markelle Fultz is not there, though. He's gone.
Yeah.
Too bad it ran into the Cavs.
It took Cavs to the Game 7.
Yeah, but they were hurt.
Yeah.
But still.
Granted, when you're playing physical defense, it's gonna be, like, you're gonna hurt players. part of it. My number 8.
Ran into who?
Who did the Cavs play after?
Wasn't it the
They
Knicks?
played the Celtics.
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 Yeah. They played the Celtics.
So my number 8 is Karl Anthony Towns, and you guys have already kind of elaborated on it. I just have him a little bit higher. Yes, he's not the number 1 option, but he's probably the best shooting big man of all time, and we continue to see that year over year. Part of the dynamic that does let Anthony Edwards thrive as much on offense is the fact that he has someone as lethal as Karl Anthony Towns that's big enough to also be a driving threat to kind of help space the floor. Now, granted, Rudy Gobert provides the exact opposite, but at least a little bit helps. He also had an insane effective field goal rate, which was 57.5, which is also his career average because, again, probably the best shooting big of all time, and I don't think that's a hot take at this point. It is weird to me, like, seeing him at the 4. Like,
yeah,
I get the value that Rudy Gobert brought to this team in terms of their defense, but if you could move off of him, there's value to him defensively. It's just offensively, he's unplayable.
Yeah.
If you could move off from him and have Cat play that 5 and you get another stretch big in there to play that 4, suddenly you just give Anthony Edwards all the room in the world to work. And it's addition by subtraction. Like, yes, Karl Anthony Towns is no longer the main option on this team. And yes, he's not getting all the touches. But his impact on the team is evident, and it's part of the reason the Timberwolves had as much success as they did. Just because his floor spacing ability is pretty much unparalleled outside of a guard. Like, obviously Steph Curry spaces the floor more than him, but when you're pulling a 7-footer out of the paint, you're opening the floor for someone with the athleticism of Anthony Edwards to get to the rim. So I have him a little higher than you guys. I get why you don't have him as high, but
well, unfortunately for you, the 7-footer is 2 feet in the paint guarding Gobert, not Cat.
But, like, let's be real. Half of the power forwards are probably 7 feet because Kevin Durant is not 6'8". Like, everyone lies about their height because they want to. I don't know. I don't even know at this point why they do it. But, like, you look at Team USA's photos and Kevin Durant's the tallest fucker on that court. Like.
I'm guessing I'm up next then. Number 7.
You are next.
Number 7 is Paul George for me. So
I was like, go on. Like, it's Paul George. Next.
Pretty much, yeah. He averaged 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and I have him at a 19 PER.
Hey, 19.3.
See, here's the thing. I don't operate with the points. The point, whatever, it don't matter.
It does.
I don't know. But
because, like, if you just say, oh, he's 19, and this guy's also 19, one of them's 19.1 and one of them's 19.3, that's a significant gap statistically.
Is it though?
Yeah, but
it's
you care about that.
It's marginally significant.
Look, significant is the worst thing I've ever
very
heard.
Different.
Huh?
It's marginally significant. Deal with it.
But I was actually really conflicted on how I wanted to evaluate him. But at the same time, like, the effect of Paul George on the Clippers is really obvious. When Kawhi is out, he is the best player on. Quite honestly, I think the reason that Clippers team has stayed together as long as they have is because of Paul George. I can't underestimate the value.
What?
And granted, his defense was. Go on.
What?
What?
What did you just say?
I said I
get
think
what he's saying.
the reason the Clippers have stayed, like the core has stayed together for as long as they have, is because of Paul George.
This the same Paul George that at a celebrity baseball game said, "Indiana's my home and I'm not leaving," and then he requested a trade 2 hours later.
Oh my God!
This the same Paul George that said, "OKC's my home. This is where I want to retire," and then he left. That Paul George, the same
Yes,
Paul George
Ren,
that said he's
that
going to
Paul
finish his career in the Los Angeles Clippers, and now he's in Philadelphia. That Paul George,
Yes, Ren,
that bastion of
Paul George.
loyalty. He's the reason the team stayed together. Go
Ren.
on. Go on.
Ren.
Go on. He's a changed man.
He's a changed Ren. Who was the guy who had to eat the most crap when Kawhi went down? He had to take on the responsibility. He had to take on defensive assignments. Like,
he's also the guy that gave himself nicknames and then played like ass. Remember Playoff P and or Pandemic P?
Oh my God, you are so petty right now on Paul George's
I
name.
just want to make a quick fact known. My number 7 is Paul George. I take issue with he's the reason they all held together. He's the heart and soul of this team. No.
Tell me you're a Pacers fan without telling me you're a Pacers fan.
You know what, Austin, just
I don't even know what number we're on.
7.
7.
Please
Pascal Siakam.
Okay.
I put Pascal Siakam below the other people, and it was no diss to Spicy P.
It does feel like a diss, quite honestly.
But, I mean, everyone above him I feel comfortable putting there. The reason he's lower is because he got better after the trade.
Yeah, for sure.
Which to me feels like he needed the extra help around him.
I don't necessarily... I don't disagree with that, but I also don't agree with it. I don't think he needed it, but how many times in sports do we see players that are not in an optimal situation, like they don't want to be somewhere anymore, and they don't play as well? Because we know Pascal Siakam, like if you look at his historical stats, like he doesn't need the help historically. It was this season was down, and I think that's just he wanted out of Toronto. Granted, yeah, I'll talk about it more when I get to Spicy P. Yeah.
I'll probably be the last person to talk about Spicy P. We'll see.
That's insane.
That is.
That's actually wild. I mean, he doesn't do much defensively.
What?
Okay, hold on. Win share wise, he doesn't do anything defensively.
Oh my God.
So the thing that Pascal Siakam is elite at doesn't show up anywhere in like stats at all. So like when we're playing 2K and the amount of times like someone tips the ball out of bounds, that's Pascal Siakam. Like he's jumping every passing lane and like screwing up offenses, and then suddenly they've only got 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Like his defensive value, granted he's not like terrible defensively in terms of like one-on-one defending, but his defensive value is something that doesn't really show up on a scoreboard. Because I would say he's actually a very, very, very above average defender.
He's also very versatile. He can. I'm not sure I'd say 1 through 5, but he's pretty damn close.
I think he's fast enough too. Yeah. That's it. That's my. I don't even know what number this was. 7.
Okay. PG. Go on, Ren.
Oh wait, is it me? We're on 7.
Go ahead. Get on PG.
No, mine's Paul George. You already hit the good things. You know what? Hold on, I'm gonna take a leaf out of your book here. Paul George is the reason we cured COVID.
Oh my God.
Since we're just making shit up at this point.
Oh my God.
I got nothing else. This is the player, for the record, that we debated not having here because Kawhi felt... So, I actually looked it up, and the Clippers split 50% of the season basically with Kawhi at power forward, Kawhi at small forward. 50% of the times both of them were on the court, I should say. And Paul George at power forward and Paul George at small forward. So they split it 50-50. Paul George is definitely more of a small forward than Kawhi Leonard is, and Kawhi Leonard is definitely more of a power forward than Paul George is. So Austin and I wanted to switch it, but Angelo said, you made the rules, and disregarded the rest of it. But no, you did hit the nail on the head with Paul George. Like, statistically, he's a nice player still. It is weird, like, how much time is passing, because like it still feels like,
He's
2 years
to
ago. Yeah, losing to LeBron. Do you know that they asked Chet Holmgren what his favorite stadium in the NBA was to play in, and he said the Miami Heat because it was the most empty. Weird how that happens. You just follow star players around and have no loyalty to a team. Also, Jimmy Butler doesn't fill an arena like LeBron does. Weird.
Oh my.
But yeah, Paul George, number 7. Thanks for curing COVID, Paul.
Oh my.
If Paul George was in the Beatles, they would still have been together.
It's just so mean. Like,
it's bullshit.
It's not bullshit.
So now that Paul George is not in LA, where's Kawhi?
In LA.
Huh. Weird. Go on, number 6.
Kevin Durant.
What?
This is the part of the episode I break run. So.
What the hell?
You may go now.
Kevin Durant averaged 20.
Go on.
Kevin Durant averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and a 21 PER.
Yep.
And honestly, so I don't know if it was like this for you, but I had, so Giannis is the one. That's
yeah.
everyone.
Spoiler alert: if you don't have Giannis at number 1, you're an idiot.
But here's the thing: 2 and 3, I debated, and after debating 2 and 3, I thought back on Durant's career, and I thought about what he was supposed to be, and the times that we debated whether LeBron or KD was better, and I realized that Kevin Durant's statistics are impressive. Kevin Durant also hasn't lived up to the gravity that we placed on him a decade ago now. I think that the teams that he has, after Golden State, and he won the 2 championships, the Brooklyn Nets imploded, and the Phoenix Suns kind of imploded. Bro.
Right. Absolutely. You are absolutely actually 100% correct, and I absolutely 100% agree with you. However, what are we ranking, Angelo?
The top 10 power forwards
of last year.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing.
This motherfucker's gonna have LeBron at 2. He's got LeBron at 2.
If 40-year-old LeBron is better than 34-year-old Kevin Durant,
he's got LeBron at 2. God damn it.
If 40-year-old LeBron is better than 34-year-old Durant, have we kind of lost the plot with Durant?
No.
Okay. Well then,
Because
go on,
they're
Austin.
completely different play styles.
Go on then, Austin.
I'll get to it. I'm crying.
Yeah, Angelo broke my brain. I don't know how to continue with my life. Hold on.
He has LeBron at 2. If I was Jalen Brunson,
that's
I
all
would
we
bet
have for
100
the day,
million.
folks. That's all we have for the day.
Just end the episode there.
We're at 6.
Fred doesn't want to see the rest of the list.
6. Okay, I have Paul George. I ranked him as if he was a 3, but I put him in the 4 list.
Right.
So that's. I mean, we've talked about Paul George enough, and I don't know how to follow up what Angelo just said. So go ahead, Ren.
My favorite part of Paul George's career was when he worked on the Manhattan Project.
Such a hater, man. Such a hater.
Number 6 is Pascal Siakam, and realistically, I think Angelo's going to have him higher just based on how he's ranking it and what he said, and I don't disagree with that. But it's weird because I'm kind of in the middle of the two of you. So Austin kind of said, Siakam was having a down season and he improved when he was traded to the Pacers, and so he needs the help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Angelo's going to say, when the Pacers broke down, they dumped the ball to Siakam, which is absolutely accurate. And so I'm going to give the middle of the road as someone that watched all of the Pacer games this year. The truth is kind of both, because Siakam did improve when he came to the Pacers, and part of that was the pace upscale, right? Going from any other team to this Pacers team, you're going to get out and run. And Pascal Siakam, for how big he is, likes to get out and run, even at his advancing age. Playing with a point guard of Tyrese Halliburton's stature, obviously you're going to get a lot more open looks. But even when he was playing with Tyrese, prior to Tyrese's injury at the All-Star break, most of the Pacers plays that broke down were just dump it off to Siakam and let him hit the spinning fader or the spinning layup, or just being a human Beyblade, right? After Tyrese's injury, though, and don't get me wrong, Andrew Nembhard, he exceeded expectations this year. TJ McConnell obviously is a fan favorite, but it's not the same as Tyrese Halliburton during the in-season tournament, right? But he didn't have a drop-off after that injury. Siakam stayed consistent throughout his time with the Pacers. So I think it's kind of in the middle where he benefited from coming to the Pacers, but it's not like he needed the Pacers to succeed, because we've seen historically he's just an elite power forward. Defensively, he is underrated, because he is a player that I would comfortably put him on larger threes and all the way up to fives. If you are running a small ball lineup with Pascal Siakam at your 5, it's not a bad situation to be in. And throughout the times before Giannis's injury, Siakam was guarding Giannis. Siakam was guarding Jason Tatum. I think he's a very underrated defender because his defense doesn't show in the stats. You don't see it even in box plus minus, because you're playing on a Pacers team that's going to give up 130, but hey, we're going to drop 140, so who cares, right?
Kevin Durant could still ruin the team.
But you know who could fix it? It's Paul George's music. But yeah, no. Pascal Siakam, 6.
Not bad.
Number 5.
Oh God.
Jimmy Butler.
I forgot he still had that in his pocket.
I knew he didn't have Jimmy at 2 or 3.
Wait. You are telling me.
Hold on.
You, as a fan of basketball, put Jimmy Butler over Kevin Durant.
100%.
Ren, I don't know if I can continue in these working conditions.
So here's the thing: Jimmy Butler didn't implode a team. In fact, he took two teams that had no right. No one was even talking about those two teams
Because we're
making a
not on
finals
those
run,
two
and he
teams.
took
We're talking
both
about
of them
last
to the
year.
finals.
God. Continue, Angelo.
Okay, he averaged 21.
That is not me. I just want the record to show.
I know it's not you. He averaged 21 points.
Okay.
You know what? Jimmy Butler was the leader of the Miami Heat, and he is the best player on that team.
Okay.
Until he's traded. Go on.
No. Do not go on, Austin, because he said he was going to elaborate on this earlier. What was Jimmy Butler's playoff success this season?
They got eliminated in the play-in.
They got eliminated and they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yep.
You have a guy who did. Austin changed his icon to dead. You have a guy that did not even make the playoffs as a number one option.
Yes.
Ahead of conference finalists as the number one option.
I did.
Do you guys at home see what we have to deal with on a
Can
day
we?
in and out
So
basis?
okay. So why were you debating Nikola Jokic as the number one center for 4 hours? What was the reasoning you thought someone else could be better?
Because AD was better defensively, and I debated whether or not AD actually took over the team from LeBron or not based on the season he had, and I came to the conclusion he did not. Nikola is, well, I don't even know if Nikola is, but Nikola appears to be the driving force of the offense for the Nuggets.
Appears
the man
to be
who averages a triple double.
Yes,
in the playoffs.
Not
in the playoffs. Let's just set the record straight. He averaged a triple double.
Can't win when Murray's down, dude.
Come on, Austin. I have the growing sense of dread that he's going to say Pascal Siakam at 4, Jason Tatum at 3. He's going to say LeBron at 2.
Oh, boy.
Go on, Austin.
It's my turn?
Yeah. Here's your number 4. Okay. Restore sanity.
Number 4?
Or you're on number 5.
Number 5.
Oh, we're on number 5. Jesus, this is taking forever.
You really just want to get it over with, right? I know that. I went Zion number 5.
Okay, so did
and, I mean, in my notes, it literally says healthy ? What the fuck? Because he actually played the season. Felt nice to see that. And you guys earlier were talking about how like he averaged 26 and then 27.
Mm-hmm.
But those weren't full seasons. Right?
Right.
I've never been the biggest on Zion. I think this is more where he lies. I think if he continues to be healthy, Ren, like you said, like he still has to ramp up. Right? I think he'll get into that 26, 27 range and kind of hover there once he gets going. That's why I put him at 5. But it was nice to see him actually play the same amount of games he's played in his entire career this year alone.
He played 61 in his rookie season.
And how long ago was that?
5 years ago. 4 playing years ago.
You realize we've had 248 games since then, right?
Oh, look at Mr. Math in the top of his head here.
No, that's not right. 400 something.
Oh, never mind.
God damn.
I was thinking.
What the hell is this episode? I just titled it "Angelo Breaks the Rehnternet." So
that's
actually a solid one.
That's actually a solid name. I'm down for it. So my number 5 is Zion, and we've talked about Zion a lot. The only thing I'll say is hopefully he stays away from porn stars and gumbo, and we will see where he goes. All right, Angelo, go number 4.
Wait, I have a quick question about Zion.
Okay.
Do you guys think, because the Pelicans are obviously looking like they're going to start imploding soon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you think
for
he's
sure.
going to go somewhere else?
He's 24 years old now.
You don't think so?
If you're rebuilding, he's still a key piece. Like he's the same age as Shea.
Well, let me ask that. Do you think he's going to want to go somewhere else?
Smart, because it's not the Pelicans' lack of management that has led to the Pelicans' lack of success. It's his lack of appetite control. Like, you cannot blame the Pelicans because your knees are giving out on light jogs. Yeah. Like, you cannot blame the team for your health because you are the star of this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when Paul George left the Pacers, it's because the Pacers management wouldn't spend money to bring him help. That's fair. Paul George wasn't like, I played 30 games last year. It's all y'all's fault. No, no. He has no reason to want to leave. The failures of the Pelicans are not Pelicans management's problems. Like, they've tried. They've brought in CJ McCollum. They brought in Brandon Ingram. Herb Jones is a fantastic piece. Like, your star players playing a quarter of a season every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Be weird for him to try to blame them. And, like, they're not going to want to move on from him because, again, the potential there is all NBA. So, no. All right, Angelo. Number 4. Start us on the 4s.
Number 4 is
I wonder if Austin and I have the same top 5.
We might.
We might.
But anyway, number 4 is Pascal Siakam. And the reason I put Pascal up there is because on your little, like, run that seemed like it was out of a Cinderella story, the games that you guys probably shouldn't have won, Pascal was the one keeping you in those games, especially early. Pascal was the guy who was taking the offensive load while Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner were getting their feet wet in the playoffs. And honestly, I think, and that weighed heavily into where I ranked them here.
Yeah, I think, like, the veteran presence, like, having someone there to kind of guide the young players. And it's weird because Miles Turner's not that much younger than Pascal Siakam, but in terms of experience, he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, 100%.
That's fair. Like, he really was 90% of the reason the Pacers... I don't want to say 90, but, like, greater than 50, because, like, Andrew Nembhard...
Whose team is it?
It's still probably Halliburton's team.
It's Tyrese, yeah.
I think that, like, it depends, because I think the, like, leader of the team is Miles Turner. He's been there. This will be year 10.
Mm-hmm. Jesus, that's...
The, like, soul of the team is TJ McConnell. But, like, the actual, like, if you were to ask me who the number 1 option is, it's Tyrese Halliburton. Like, one way or the other, whether he's making a play or scoring himself, it's Halliburton's team. But yeah.
That's what I got. On to number 4 for Austin.
This will determine, I think, whether Austin and I have the same top 4.
All right, I got to pull up something real quick so I can talk about it. Because I wasn't thinking about it. Okay. Number 4, I have LeBron James.
We have the same top 4. Or top 5. Unless you have an audible on 2 and 3, but I don't think you would.
I'm debating on switching 2 and 3. I'm still thinking about it. But, so LeBron, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, right? Is father time a thing to this man?
No, it's not.
No, absolutely not.
Honestly, like...
Well, yes, defensively.
Okay, but, defense doesn't win games, right, Ren?
The motherfucker's hiding in the corner. It's fine.
I mean, it's LeBron. I think he's going to be top 5 until he retires, right? Unless he just completely falls off a cliff. Maybe Bronny's going to just pull some Space Jam stuff and try to steal all his dad's skill. Probably won't happen.
100%.
It probably won't happen. I mean, it's LeBron James. It's the second greatest player of all time for basketball. I don't know what else to say.
Greatest player of all time.
So the only thing I would add to it is his 3-point shooting took a massive jump. He shot 32% last year. This season shot 41% from 3. Just across the board is shooting efficiency. He went from 50% literally on the dot, 5-0-0, to 54% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
Just a much more. I think this was actually he had 2 seasons when he was in Miami that were more efficient, but overall this was top 3 efficiency for LeBron James. All NBA third team at 40 years old is.
He's also had the least amount of usage he's had since his rookie year.
Yeah, and that's Anthony Davis really did elevate. But no, it's
what happens when he's healthy.
It is insane to me that LeBron is still this productive at 40, because it feels like every year we're saying the same thing, like he's going to start falling off. And yeah, he did. He went from 28 or 29 points per game last season to 26 this season. But that's still, like, unless he falls off of a literal cliff, LeBron could be relevant in the NBA for another 3 or 4 years if he wanted to be. The question is, does he want to be?
If he wanted. That's a good question.
Because I think he's ready to transition into being an owner. But at the same time, like, because LeBron doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to go out on a low. Like, he's, like, once he starts regressing, he's going to hang him up. He's not someone that wants to be, like, end of his career averaging 17 points per game.
God forbid.
God forbid.
God forbid. The mere mortals.
LeBron is, like,
LeBron's
the definition of a demigod. Like, if you were to break down, like, player types in 2K, like, there's the demigod. Like, you only see it in my eras, and it's a player that's, like, maxed and everything. LeBron is one of the only players deserving of that, and he's 40 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, LeBron is also my number 4.
What else?
From, like... No.
Who's his number 3?
My number 3. Is LeBron James.
I'm depressed now. I wanted him to make the funny thing.
Yep.
I mean, granted, he put Kevin Durant at fucking
6.
Okay. Go ahead, fanboy about LeBron.
He's just the greatest, man. He's the greatest player of all time. And here's the thing, though. I guess I expected more. So, like, if you would have told me that LeBron wouldn't regress basically at all and AD would have had basically a healthy season, I would have said the Lakers would have at least made some kind of push or run. And I guess it's really a testament to how good the overall teams are in the West that they didn't. Because any other year, I think the Lakers would have been a competitive team in the West.
I still would say they're a marginally competitive team. It's just the West was fucking stacked.
Yeah. And that's the problem. But no, I love LeBron. I'm not going to lie, though. So I have it written down 3, and then you know who am I doing my one there. But regardless, I debated for like a hot second, just flipping it at the last second to to mess with you.
To mess with us. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, at least you were honest about it.
At least I was honest about it. Austin, who do you got?
And number 3 is the second best player on the Celtics. Mr. Jason
We
Tatum.
do not have the same top 5.
Interesting.
And
wait, who's your?
When we get to my 2, I'll explain why I have him at 3.
That's who your 2 is.
Yeah, there's only one other guy, Angelo.
Sorry, I didn't consider him.
Yeah, we know. Jason Tatum, I mean, he just won a finals, right? He played really, really well. My only issue with him and why he's not at my 2 is his efficiencies. He was 47 from the field, 38 from 3-point, right? When I compared him to who's at my 2, I had to give the edge to that guy. But it's not a knock against Tatum at all, right? He's probably the second best, but he just wasn't efficient enough for me to put him at 2.
That's fair. My number 3 is Kevin Durant.
Why?
Silence.
Because
this is one of those. This is one of those times you can cut out, Angelo.
No. Leave it for effect. Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. Because it's Kevin Durant.
Ruiner of teams.
Arguably the greatest scorer of all time. Pure scoring, vacuum, Kevin Durant. Still that guy. I don't necessarily think that Kevin Durant is the problem with the Phoenix Suns. I think there's a player on his team, because when you look at Kevin Durant's efficiencies, you can't really fault him. And he's not a bad defender. When he was younger, he was a good defender. Now he's okay. There's a player on his team that's in that same conversation of empty points that gets, I think, hold on, actually, let me...
Should he stay or should he go?
I was watching...
The answer is he goes. He always goes. He always goes. He was honestly, I think he was supposed to be the heir apparent to LeBron as far as like making big threes work, and
then he was making burner accounts.
Yeah.
I want to see something.
About KD.
Oh, you're talking about Bookie Book.
Yeah, I think Booker should book it for the sake of the Suns.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the Suns should yeet the man into Washington.
I think we found our new Russell Westbrook.
Hold on. So 29, what was... So Devin Booker had a 29% usage rate, and Kevin Durant had a 29. So they had even. One of them was efficient, one of them was not. Which one do you think Angelo is going to put the blame on?
The efficient one.
The one.
It's going to be the efficient one.
Honestly,
because again, we're ranking them based on this season's performance, and he's like, well, 8 years ago when he left this team, that's irrelevant. Kevin Durant is number 3.
You earlier in the podcast?
I'm sorry. Did I forget to mention?
The turns have tabled.
Paul George is the only reason this podcast is still together.
Paul George is why he came back. Are you done with KD?
Yeah, I'm done with KD. My brain is broken when it comes to KD because he put him at 6, Austin. Like,
I know.
I've got nothing. I have nothing. There is not a thought in my head about KD right now.
Every time we do these lists, hold on. Every time we do these lists, I feel like I'm the one that just completely goes off the wall insane. And then every single time, me and Ren are very similar, and Angelo just makes us want to stop being fans of basketball.
So did my prelude to this episode come to fruition? Was everything I said accurate?
No, it was so much worse. It's so much worse than what you alluded to.
So much worse. You know what I said, right?
Yeah, you said this would break Ren. I didn't expect me to be added into it.
You're collateral damage, unfortunately.
If instead of Justin Timberlake in sync had Paul George, they would still be together.
It's still it doesn't know what to do.
Paul George would have kept the USSR together.
Okay. Number 2 for me.
Yeah.
Paul George is why after the Civil War the country came together. Paul George Abraham Lincoln.
Number 2 is Jason Tatum. Quite honestly, I debated LeBron at 2 for a while.
Oh my God. He said the line. Everybody drink.
But Tatum is coming off a very impressive run. Where
a bit of an underselling there.
I caps it off with an NBA Finals, and he is deserving of the number 2 spot. I know you guys are going to talk about Tatum, so go ahead. Guys, I've accomplished my goal. You guys can talk about Tatum and Giannis.
I already talked about Tatum.
So instead of talking up Tatum, because Tatum is my number 2, because Austin already kind of did, I'm going to talk about how cringe Jason Tatum has been his entire career.
Okay,
let's go.
Did you see the latest one? Did you see Did you see the latest?
No.
So the latest is an advertisement campaign from the Jordan brand, where Jason Tatum is doing the Jumpman logo. Like, this man cannot have an original thought in his head. His entire final celebration was KG, Kobe, LeBron, Steph Curry. I think he had an MJ in there. The parade, he was ripping people off. He's just doing the Jumpman logo. It's cringy. Like, do your own thing. Be your own player. I get it. Kobe inspired you growing up. Do your own thing. Be the next Kobe.
He did his own thing. He made history for having the worst 2K25 or 2K box art of all time. Have you seen the cover art? It's terrible.
Yeah. I've seen it, but worst of all time. I didn't like the Giannis cover, 2K19. I didn't like that one because there was so much text on it. It's very busy.
Oh, I'm sorry, your mind gets overloaded easily.
It's not overloaded. It's just there's too much going on.
You know what? Number 1 is Giannis. You guys got the rest of the episode. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. See you guys. Have a great one.
Where do you think you're going?
He literally just dipped. Okay, yeah, Giannis number 1 across the board.
Yep, KD was my number 2 for the record.
Oh yeah, fuck your number 2. Yeah, Giannis is the most obvious player. Honestly, if you're doing a top 10 2 players, I wouldn't be mad if you put Giannis at 1. Jokic and Luka should be up there too, but
yeah, no,
Giannis is hands down the best 2-way player in the NBA. We say this player can guard 1 through 5. Giannis legitimately can.
Yep. And play 1 through 5.
He can't shoot though, but it doesn't matter because you can't stop him getting to the rim. Just another ridiculous season from Giannis. And realistically, if the Bucks don't run into injury issues, I still don't think they get past the Celtics. But they would have had a legitimate chance at a finals run if Giannis had not gotten injured, because Giannis is just that guy. Just hands down. And I feel like point guards is probably going to be more interesting, but I feel like every other position we're just going to have that number one that's just so obvious that all the drama is going to happen at like number 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's really not much you can say. It's Giannis. It's fucking Giannis.
That's it.
That's it. It's Giannis. But hey, guys, next week we will be back for our regularly scheduled Sunday episode. We will be going top 10 small forwards of the 2023-2024 season, which I'm sure Angelo will be referencing their rookie season in 2014 as a reason why he left them at 10 instead of...
And then the playoffs of 2027.
Will, yeah, that will be relevant in some way, but not for, like, Jimmy Butler. He doesn't have to make the playoffs, and we don't talk about his bad seasons. And Austin, he pissed me off today. Did he piss you off? He pissed me off.
I'm reconsidering your friendship right now.
Right, like, I don't know if he's actually here or not. So, like,
I have no idea.
It doesn't work if he's not here. So I don't know. If you like what we do here, follow us on all socials at No Reserves. Whatever podcatching platform you're listening to us on, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, leave us a review, an honest one. Don't just give us 5 stars just because you want to. Tell us where we suck. We listen. Well, I guess that's all we've got because Angelo dipped and there's no news, and it's also really late now. So,
yep.
We will see you on the flip side. We will be back on Sunday. Angelo will have another terribly performing wrestling episode on, I'm guessing, Tuesday. He's not here to answer that question. Thursday will be No Reserves football, and who knows what happens besides that. We could do a pop culture. Nobody knows. Ring a little notification bell. It'll tell you. Besides that, you have a great rest of your week, and we will see you later.